My in-laws demanded I sign a prenup stating I get nothing. I replied, no problem. Then I had my lawyer draft one that exposed their hidden debts. Suddenly, they were offering me money to forget it. I'm 30 male, getting married to my fiancée, Lauren, 28F, in 6 months, or I was. Our life together has been the best part of my last 5 years. Her parents, Walter, 60s, and Joyce, 60s, have always occupied that strange space of being impeccably polite while making me feel like I was a specimen under a microscope. I'm a data analyst. My world is numbers, patterns, and logical conclusions. I make a good living, not enough to be considered rich, but more than enough to be comfortable and financially secure. I have my retirement fund, a few modest investments, and the mortgage on my condo is my only debt. Lauren is a brilliant graphic designer, just as responsible and forward-thinking as I am. We are, in every sense of the word, partners. This partnership was apparently a problem. Last Saturday, her parents invited us to their home for dinner. It was their anniversary, an occasion that should have been warm but instead felt brittle and charged. Walter dominated the conversation with his usual vague but grandiose stories about his consulting business. Joyce floated in his orbit, refilling his glass of expensive red wine with a smile that was all mechanics and no warmth. Then, after the dessert plates were cleared, came the ambush. Walter cleared his throat with theatrical importance. Nathan, there's a practical matter Joyce and I feel we must address, for Lauren's future. He slid a handsome, leather-bound folder across the table. It stopped beside my wine glass with a quiet, definitive thud. It's a prenuptial agreement, he announced, cloaking the words in a tone of paternal concern. A simple formality to protect our daughter. I opened it. There was no rush of anger, no shockwave. My training kicked in, and everything just became data points on a screen. The language was dense, but the objective was crystalline. In case of divorce, I would be financially obliterated. Any increase in marital assets, any property we jointly purchased, even the appreciation on our own home, it would all be designated as hers. It went further. It included a clause targeting my own potential future inheritances. My family's legacy would be funneled into the marital pot, only to be defined as solely hers should the marriage end. It was a document of breathtaking arrogance, designed to ensure I could be discarded at any time like a piece of trash, leaving with nothing but the clothes on my back. Lauren was aghast. Mom, Dad, what is this? You never said anything to me. It's for your own good, sweetie. Joyce cooed, patting her daughter's hand. You are everything to us. Life is so unpredictable. This just provides you with security. We've worked our entire lives to build a legacy, Walter added, puffing his chest out. This simply keeps that legacy within the bloodline. He fixed his gaze on me, his eyes small and hard. A man with honorable intentions would have no issue signing it. A classic trap. Argue, and I'm a gold digger. Sign, and I'm a neutered fool. They sat back, smug, confident they had me checkmated. For a brief second, I felt a flash of white-hot rage. I looked at Lauren's pale, panicked face, and the heat instantly cooled into something else. Something cold, hard, and methodical. A plan. I closed the folder. I didn't shove it. I nudged it gently back to the center of the table. Then I met Walter's gaze with the most placid, agreeable smile I could muster. No problem, I said. The silence in the room was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop on the thick carpet. Walter's jaw hung slightly agape. Joyce's carefully constructed smile faltered. No problem? Walter stammered, his entire script shredded. Not at all, I replied, taking a calm sip of water. I think a prenup is a great idea. It's a sound financial decision. Of course, for it to be legally enforceable, it needs to be fair and equitable. So I'll have my lawyer draft a standard mutual agreement. His firm is excellent. He'll require full financial disclosure from both parties with all the supporting documents, just to make sure everything is transparent and above board. He'll be in touch with your lawyer next week to get the process started. I let the key phrase hang in the air between us. Full financial disclosure. Joyce's face lost its color. Walter's ruddy complexion began to shift toward a blotchy, dangerous purple. He looked like he'd been slapped. I stood and pulled out Lauren's chair. Thank you for dinner. It was very informative. Lauren, I think we're ready to go. Lauren, still dazed, followed my lead. The moment we were in the car, the dam broke. Nathan, what just happened? Why would you agree to that horrible thing? Because they're right about one thing, I said, my voice even, my hands steady on the wheel. We should have a prenup, but it's going to be a real one, a fair one. I didn't voice my suspicion, the one that had crystallized the moment I saw the fear in their eyes. People who are truly secure don't need to resort to such brutish, obvious traps. Walter and Joyce weren't acting secure. They were acting desperate, and their terror at the thought of mutual disclosure told me everything I needed to know. Update 1. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. It seems my gut feeling was shared by hundreds of you. The phrase, "they started a game they don't know the rules to," was a common theme. It's been a tense couple of weeks. My lawyer, Peter, is exactly the kind of person you want in your corner. Amiable on the surface, but an absolute shark when it comes to details. He drafted an ironclad mutual prenup that was eminently fair. It protected our individual pre-existing assets and laid out a 50-50 split for everything accumulated during the marriage. And as promised, it came with a standard, non-negotiable request for full financial disclosure. Certified asset and liability schedules, bank and brokerage statements, and tax returns for the past 5 years. Peter sent the package to their lawyer, a man who, by all accounts, primarily handles wills for the local golf club members. This was likely a rude awakening for him. The first counterattack came from Joyce, aimed at Lauren. The phone call was, as Lauren described it, a masterclass in emotional manipulation. "Lauren, darling, I'm so terribly worried," she began, her voice laced with a theatrical tremor. "Nathan is being so adversarial. All these legal demands, it feels so cold and corporate. We just wanted to protect you, and he's made it into this awful, invasive procedure." Lauren, who had processed her initial shock and was now simmering with anger, held her ground. "Mom, Nathan wants a fair prenup, which is what you said you wanted. This is the standard legal process for one. But it shouldn't be about legal process, sweetie. It's about family. It's about trust. If he trusted us, he'd sign. Why does he need to see our private papers? It's simply not right." Then came the next move, a piece of clumsy stagecraft. They invited Lauren to lunch, just Lauren, at their house. During the meal, Walter left his briefcase open on a nearby chair. Positioned perfectly at the top was a bank statement. Lauren, feeling a confusing mix of guilt and suspicion, couldn't help but glance at it. The balance was impressive, over $750,000. She told me about it that night, her conviction wavering. "Nathan, look, maybe they do have the money. Maybe they're just intensely private and we're pushing too hard." I listened carefully. "Describe the statement to me," I said. "It was from that big national bank, the one with the blue and red logo," she said. "It looked crisp. Almost too perfect, you know? Like it was fresh off the printer." Something clicked. "Hold on," I said, pulling out my laptop. I typed in "fake bank statement template," followed by the bank's name. The first page of image results showed a dozen templates. The third one down was a perfect match. I turned the screen to her. "That bank redesigned their statements 8 months ago," I said, pointing to an article about their rebranding. "They don't look like that anymore. That template you saw is one of the most common fakes online." Lauren stared at the screen, her face hardening. The doubt was gone, replaced by a cold, quiet fury. It was no longer about money. It was about the insult of such a blatant, foolish lie. The deadline for them to provide their financial documents is next Friday. Update 2. The situation has officially detonated. The deadline for disclosure came and went. In its place, their lawyer sent Peter a letter stating his clients believed our requests were unreasonable and invasive for a familial matter, and offered to provide a notarized summary of net worth instead. A single number on a piece of paper, backed by nothing. Peter informed them this was legally meaningless and would render any prenup invalid. He sent one final letter. "Produce the required documents within 10 business days, or we will assume you are withdrawing your request for a prenup." This is when Walter called me directly. No greeting, just a snarl. "You arrogant little snake, who in the hell do you think you are?" I put him on speaker for Lauren to hear, motioning for her to stay quiet. I kept my voice calm, almost bored. "Walter, I'm simply following the standard legal procedure that you yourself initiated." "The hell you are! You're on a fishing expedition. You think you're going to get your hands on my money, is that it? You think you'll find something to hold over us?" Walter, if you don't want a prenup, that's fine. Let's drop it, but any prenup we sign will be mutual and transparent. It's that simple. Listen to me, you little parasite, he seethed, his voice cracking with fury. I will not have my life's work picked over by the likes of you. You will sign the original document, or I swear to God, I will make sure Lauren sees you for the gold-digging trash you are. I will end this engagement myself. He hung up. Lauren sat there, her face ashen. He sounds terrified, she whispered. That was the last nail in the coffin for her. His anger wasn't about principle, it was about panic. The dirty tricks escalated from clumsy to cruel. Joyce began a systematic smear campaign, calling relatives and close family friends. She spun a truly vicious narrative. I was controlling, financially abusive, and trying to isolate Lauren from her family to get at their considerable estate. We found out when Lauren's beloved Aunt Martha called, deeply concerned, saying, "Lauren, honey, the things your mother is saying, it just doesn't sound like Nathan at all." This was their biggest miscalculation. They thought they could isolate Lauren. Instead, they revealed their own character. The planted statement, the bullying call, the slander, it was a pattern. It was time to stop reacting and get answers. As a data analyst, I know that many things people consider private are actually public record. I spent a Saturday evening on the county recorder's online portal. It wasn't a hack. It was just patient, methodical searching. And there it was. Not a legacy, but a landslide of debt. A massive second mortgage on their home, taken out 18 months prior from a high-interest private lender. Multiple liens against Walter's business from unpaid suppliers. I even found a record of a lawsuit from a former business partner, settled quietly out of court. The entire facade was a lie. They weren't protecting their wealth from me. They were trying to secure my future income for themselves. We were their retirement plan. The prenup was designed to give them full access to our future earnings through Lauren, while ensuring I had no claim and could be easily discarded. I printed everything out and placed it in a plain manila folder. It felt heavy in my hands. I had the truth. Now I had to show it to the person it would hurt the most. Update 3. Last night, I sat Lauren down on our sofa. I placed the folder on the coffee table between us. "I found some things," I said softly. "You need to see them. I'm so sorry." Her hands trembled as she read through the documents. I watched a storm of emotions pass over her face, confusion, denial, and then a slow, creeping horror that stole the air from her lungs. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with a deep, shattering pain. "This can't be real. It's all public record," I said gently. "Peter verified it. This is why they're acting this way. This is why they're lying to everyone. They're broke, Lauren. The business, the legacy, it's all just smoke." She didn't weep. Something colder and harder took its place. She stood and walked to the window, her back to me. "The lies," she said, her voice hollow. "The way they spoke to you, the things they said to Aunt Martha." She turned around, her face a mask of stone. "They tried to destroy you to cover this up." She picked up her phone. "I'm calling them. I want to see them. In that dining room, tomorrow." The atmosphere in her parents' home was thick with dread. They were sitting at the same dining table, looking wary but expectant, as if they were about to receive a formal apology. Lauren didn't say a word. She simply placed the manila folder on the table, right where the leather-bound prenup had sat. "What's this?" Walter asked. "Your legacy," Lauren replied, her voice devoid of all warmth. Walter's face went from ruddy to a sickly gray as he saw the documents. Joyce leaned in, let out a choked gasp, and put a hand to her chest. "Where did you get these?" Walter hissed. "Does it matter if they're true?" Lauren shot back, her voice finally cracking with the force of her pain. "Are you drowning in debt? Have you been lying to me my entire life?" Joyce burst into tears, not the soft, manipulative kind, but harsh, ugly sobs. "We did it for you, Lauren. We had some setbacks. We just wanted to make sure you were always taken care of. By ruining the life of the man I love?" Lauren was on her feet now, her voice ringing with betrayal. "By trying to trap us, by slandering him to our entire family? You talk about honor, about integrity. Was any of it real? Or was it all just a performance to hide this?" Walter slammed his fist on the table, a pathetic echo of his former bluster. "You watch your tone. We are your parents." "And you are liars," she cried. "You tried to break us. You tried to poison everyone against him for this, for money." Walter's face contorted with impotent rage. He pointed a trembling finger at me, then back at his daughter. "If you walk out that door with him," he sputtered, "don't you dare come back. You're choosing a snake over your own blood." Lauren let out a short, bitter laugh. "You made that choice for me a long time ago." She turned and walked out. I followed, closing the door behind us on the wreckage of her childhood. Final update. Today, it's been a few months. The wedding is postponed. We can't build a future on such a fractured foundation. Lauren is grieving, not for her parents as they are, but for the parents she thought she had. We're in counseling together, learning how to navigate this chasm they created. It's hard, but we are a rock-solid team. The consequences for Walter and Joyce have been natural and swift. After Lauren told her Aunt Martha the full story, the truth spread through the family like wildfire. The sympathy Joyce had cultivated through her smear campaign instantly curdled into disgust. They are now socially isolated. The supplier lien turned into a full-blown lawsuit that, from what we hear, is gutting what's left of the business. Their final, pathetic attempt at manipulation came last month. Joyce didn't call me. She called Lauren. Lauren recounted the conversation to me later, her voice flat and weary. Joyce was crying, of course. She said the stress was giving her heart palpitations. She said Walter couldn't sleep, that his business was collapsing, and that it was all because Lauren had let me drive a wedge and air their private laundry in public. She was trying to make Lauren feel responsible for the consequences of their own actions. It wasn't a bribe, it was an invoice for her guilt. Lauren let her finish her whimpering monologue. Then she said, in a voice as calm and as cold as ice, "My choices didn't cause this. Your choices did. You lied. You cheated. You tried to hurt us. The consequences are your own. Do not call me again." She hung up and blocked their numbers. I don't feel a sense of victory. There's no joy in this, only a profound sense of sadness for the woman I love and the family she deserved. My revenge wasn't some master plan. It was simply insisting on the truth. I held up a mirror, and they shattered it, rather than look at their own reflection. We are moving forward. We are building our own legacy. It will be smaller and quieter than the fantasy Walter and Joyce pretended to have, but it will be built on a foundation of unshakable honesty. And it will be ours.